All right. Welcome in, guys. Just Jack and Krause again today. Trav's still dealing with some stuff at home, and he'll be back soon, hopefully. Until then, you're stuck with us. Lucky you.
We should have put like a bobblehead or a Funko.
Like a little.
Put his picture on it. Yeah.
So, last night was crazy. Tornadoes here in Kansas City.
Out by Spring Hill.
Yeah, I'm out in Gardner down south, and it was heading directly for us. And it, at the last minute, curved south.
Took it right.
And my brother lives in Spring Hill.
Okay.
And so he gets home, and my brother, he calls me when he gets home, and he goes, Jay, there's a tornado right over my apartment right now. I'm like, dude, no, there's not, man. He's like, I just lost power. It's the end of the days. And I'm just like, nah, bro, you're going to be okay. But yeah, it was a little sketchy there for a little bit. We got some hail, heavy rain. The whole house was shaking a little bit. The lightning was insane, dude. After it passed and we were kind of in the eye of it, I looked out back and just every second lightning was hitting in the distance. But was it like that where you were?
So, not sure you guys are aware of this. I'm a giant nerd. And so, we're filming this on a Tuesday. Yesterday was a Monday. And for those of you that have no idea, there's new Star Wars content being provided on Mondays now. And it is a new series where the main character is Darth Maul.
I've been watching that.
Okay, so of course I'm in on it.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
And I'm watching it with my children because indoctrinating your children into your geekdom is like part of being a geek. And they want to watch, right? It's as opposed to like some other stuff, super nerdy. They're all in on Star Wars. So anyway, outside it's normal as the episode 3 starts. And then my daughter says, Dad, why is it green outside? And my oldest says, well, there's a tornado. And I'm like, stop scaring the kids, right? And my wife, adds from the peanut gallery, yeah, no, we're under a tornado watch. And so they're like immediately freaking out. While we're watching these 2 30-minute episodes, it goes from normal outside to green to dark to lightning, not every second, but lightning that is loud and rumbly. And then the episode gets over and we turn on the weather, and there were 2 tornadoes. There were 2 naders.
Yep.
One was way down south, like 70, 80 miles away from here. Yep.
Yeah.
And then one was like 30 miles south of here. And both of them, it looked like, did the same thing. It was going northeast and then kind of crossed over into Missouri. And so I don't necessarily know the damage. I know
Ottawa lost power lines, and there were major power surges in Spring Hill. And then Ottawa got hit twice because the one from Pleasanton followed the one that hit Ottawa.
Yeah.
And they got whacked twice.
I saw that Ottawa got hit. I didn't see, I read of property damage. I didn't see of anything like that. But yeah, it was crazy. It's this is part of where we live, right? We live in Tornado Alley. But yeah, we were fine where we were at.
That's good. Yeah, I was a little worried, but I was like, Krause is kind of superhuman. I'm sure he's got some like hidden bunker.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
I've been stocking up my Fallout caps, so I've got bottle caps for days when the apocalypse hits. Like, I'm ready to go.
Do you have like a basement? Do you have a shelter that you would go to, or you just go out to a ditch and get?
No, we have like it's like a community shelter.
Yep.
That everybody just goes to.
Yeah.
But like I'm the type of person, like, I'm gonna die before I go to that kind of shelter. I'd just rather take the bullet and die. I'm dealing with, like, if it's meant for me to go, it's meant for me to go.
Your wife takes the kids and goes. She's like, Jack, come on. You're like, nah, I'm good.
Nah, yeah, live for me.
You're sitting on your couch watching Star Wars. That's how. All
right, real good. Let's get moving here. So we've got some big news that dropped this last week. Pokemon Center decided they are potentially going away with the queue system and doing an early access program which at the moment feels like as long as you have the newsletter, you're kind of thrown into a lottery system. And then at that point, if you get lucky enough to get a link to early access, you get to go get pre-orders. And this isn't just for TCG, it's for plushies, merch, whatever they drop that's new, like our 6 skateboards we put up on the wall.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if this is a thing where, like, if you get selected with a link for, let's say, Chaos Rising, then you would maybe get passed up on Pitch Black, and then you maybe get back in the rotation for Rayquaza set and Storm Emeralda. I do know some other news. Chaos Rising pre-orders went up on the Pokemon Center yesterday, and there was no early access link.
Correct.
They just had the normal queue system. So maybe it's going to be for Pitch Black that they implement that, or what their plan is. I don't know. What do you think on this?
I don't know. This is one of those scenarios where no one will be happy. Or pause. They can't make everyone happy. In the current environment, I mean, pre the queue with the cute little, Pokemon sitting there and saying, you're 2 hours out or whatever. Mm-hmm. Previous to that, there would be Discords where people would find information on how to get a whole bunch of them. And then you would see these pictures posted on social of individuals with 100 to 200 Pokemon Center ETBs. And then additionally, in a third-party marketplace, you would see a seller selling, 66 or 70 of these ETBs online via eBay or StockX or whatever the case may be. And, man, that makes people angry, right? Because you're back to this whole scalper thought process.
Yeah.
I'm not that long into Pokemon, but it used to be I would get a probably 3 or 4 hour delayed notification via Reddit.
Reddit?
That Pokemon Center would be up, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking like a Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces. And
I would be a day late from Reddit.
And I would just go online and I would order my stuff and it would be fine. And then Surging Sparks happened, and I would always get one. And Surging Sparks dropped because I was collecting all the Pokemon Centers. So Surging Sparks dropped, so I got one. And then they did this thing like on release week, they would have more, right? You remember that?
Yeah. It would drop same day of release week,
like the Monday or Tuesday or Friday or whatever.
I used to tell people on stream, like, guys, if you missed it, make sure you go check it out on release day.
And so with that craziness that was Surging Sparks, and mind you, like Shrouded Fable or Temporal Forces, like I got 2 Paradox Rift and 2 Temporal Forces because there's 2 different ETBs, and they would drop, and it wouldn't even cross my mind what these were going for in the secondary market because it didn't feel like they were super collector-y. It just kind of felt like a thing that you would buy from Pokemon Center, like a plushie or whatever.
Yeah. And
then Surging Sparks hit. And I don't remember what they were going for before the official release, but it was at least a 3x from the 65 because you pay $59.99 plus tax.
I think I'll go back and check on TCG Player, but I think they capped it like 300.
Yeah.
And that was the first time.
And it was like
ATBs
what was going on here?
Yeah.
And I had committed to collecting all of the Scarlet and Violet, and so then Prismatic hit, and basically what I was doing was every morning I was just logging on to Pokemon Center within this like 10 to 11 week prior to release window. And PokeBeach talks about it. It's like the average is like 74 days before release or something like that. And I remember catching the Prismatic drop. And then from there on out, they started this queue system, and I missed Journey. But then I ended up being able to get 2 Destin and traded Destin for a Journey, which in hindsight didn't work out well for me from a value perspective, but I didn't care because I needed it for my collection. But I ended up getting the whole set, and at that moment, it was so stressful, guys.
It's so stressful, bro.
You're waiting there, and then you get error 17 or error 15 or whatever the case may be, and you're basically, like I was doing it on mobile, and so you're basically, so anyway, the long story even longer, it's a mess. The queue is a mess. And regardless of whether you want the Pokemon Center ETB, whether you want to rip the 11 packs, whatever the case may be, it's a mess.
It's tough.
And
it's not just the ETBs. They had Synth Hero mini tins that dropped like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, and it was a nightmare.
Yeah, it's a mess. At least I don't have to be in person, but it's no different than, we've all seen these now. I think someone got injured at a drop this weekend for Pokemon product.
Yeah, somebody took a bullet at Kroger.
Yeah.
Luckily, they were stable. They're stable now, and
Yeah.
they made it.
Over like a
Yeah.
Pokemon Center machine, right? And so like
That's what it is. It's the vending machines.
Yeah,
That's where it always happens, dude. Is these vending machines are like little fight clubs. Like you get in front of a vending machine, you're gonna be on Poke Streets, and just.
Poke Streets.
Dude, I swear, if you guys have vending machines, you better go in there with the mindset like you might get in a fight. Otherwise, stay away from those vending machines. And I'm not encouraging that by any means. I'm just saying you got to be careful because there's some just real twitchy guys out there that you just be aware, guys. Those vending machines are a cesspool for people looking for just.
It's rough. So it's hopefully this is the worst that it is. And so them introducing a invite only type thing, I think I read it's a unique link. I think I read that it's, to a unique individual with a unique product. And so you can't spoof it. You can't add it. Yeah. Doesn't add a ton of layer of complexity in my head operationally, how they'll pull that off. I mean, you just have, random generated codes that are qualified and just like you would a 16-digit code card or, credit card or gift card or whatever. So I think that's a step forward. The challenge is and will be like, Jack as an example. I don't think Jack's missed a Pokemon Center ETB out of the last 20. He's missed Destined, right? Just as an example, whether he has or hasn't is immaterial, but he's caught them all because he's got his nice little binder page of all the Pokemon Center promos, right? And he doesn't want to pay.
And I rip them all. I specifically collect the stamp promos and I open them for the stamp promos.
Yeah.
I don't resell them.
And you're not in a world where you're wanting to pay, $400 for a Snorlax or whatever it is, or the Charizard, right? So you're just going and collecting it and moving on down the road, and you never know whether the promo is going to be a $35 promo, like
Charcadet from Phantasmal.
Yeah,
I actually bought that because I missed the Phantasmal.
There you go, right? And so,
that's why I know that.
To the people that have felt like they've had an opportunity to purchase all of these and then have them to themselves, are they going to get missed? Like Pokemon communicated very clearly.
So it says here, not all newsletter subscribers are eligible.
Pokemon Center does not share eligibility criteria.
Yeah, they did say that. It said meeting eligibility criteria does not guarantee a chance to participate. Receiving an invitation to early access does not guarantee future access. Creating multiple subscriptions or using different email addresses does not increase the likelihood of receiving an invitation to participate in the early access program. Such actions may result in the invitation being voided. So there's some other things to this too. I was kind of talking to Chewy about this. I'm wondering if this is going to impact all these Notify accounts that are like, hey, subscribe to us and we'll let you know as soon as there's a drop, because they can't really, they don't really have a way to gauge that now, right? Since the link is going to go out to specific people.
Yeah.
And they're not going to, unless they receive a link themselves.
Well, I think a portion of those will just be for, big box stores when they get notification that those are going live or they get access to the release schedule for Costco or whatever. Because I think today locally, I think Prismatic SPCs drop at Costco or maybe the Black Bolt Unova combo, the binder collection. I maybe right or next week or whatever.
Yeah, it's
so those announcements will still go out, and then it'll be just like a helpful reminder. Hey, by the way, somebody received their email. Check your email. Check your spam or whatever.
Fair.
I think it sucks, right? Change. Everybody hates change. No one enjoys it, but I feel like this is ending at a place where you have to win a lottery to be able to get the right to purchase something, right? Which is really weird.
It is strange, but that's how they do it in Japan.
I was just going to say, no one's going to like hearing this because we like the way that it used to be. We all are, for lack of a better term, yearning for this opportunity when we go to Walmart or we go to Target or we go to Best Buy or whatever, for whatever. We're not going there for Pokemon, right? Or maybe you went to Best Buy to get a promo, right? Because they got promos or GameStop or whatever. And so you roll into wherever you're going, and as you're checking out, you take a look and you're like, oh yeah, there's some, there's some of this set, there's some of that set, like it used to be. You used to be able to walk into a big box store and see, 3 or 4 different sets worth of ETBs. And it's not that long ago. I mean, it's only 18, 24 months ago. So
that's the craziest part of it. People forget that it's only been this way.
Most of this is really fresh. And we're moving to such a spot that Now we're going to have lotteries from the main retail arm of the organization to win the opportunity. You're not winning a free box. You're winning the opportunity to spend money with them, right? Like, and listen, LGS have been doing this. LGS have been doing this stuff for a while. They do it sometimes. Like I've seen people do it with Pokemon. I've seen people do it with One Piece. I've seen people do it with Magic. I've seen people do it with limited release products. All this opportunity of, hey, enter your name here and you'll win the opportunity to come spend money with us.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we like because it's not how it used to be. But you said it. This is the way that releases have been going on in Japan for years.
Yeah.
And we've touched on this before, and I get it. You're like, well, I'm not in Japan. I don't want it to be like that. Well, I understand in the home country of this product, this is what they do. This is how it works. You have to win a lottery to be able to buy packs or a booster box.
Yep. It's been that way for a long time.
Yeah. And if you're a player, right? If you're a competitive player, you have to spend money to get the cards that you need for your deck at the elevated prices. We've talked about this before. When a set drops, right, the cards generally are worth more than they will be for a really long time until everything settles out 6 to 12 months later. Imagine being in an environment where you needed to get a Mega Gengar and the Reg EX was $11 and you were playing 4 of them in your deck, and it's like, well, I got to have them, right? So you're just, or even the Pokepad, right? The Pokepad that came out with Ascended Heroes type situation. So we don't like that. We're not fans of that. But it feels like that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
I don't know a way around it. So Pokemon has to figure out a way from a PR standpoint and a customer service standpoint how to answer the call of the masses of why does 7 people get access to all of your product, right? That's been plaguing Pokemon and big box stores with online drops for a really long time. From a business perspective, I don't think they have to manage it unless they're getting charged back on those big orders after they're sending them out, right? As long as if they're collecting the money, but they've got to do it from a PR standpoint because people are mad at them and leave negative reviews. So they have to be able to respond to that. But they didn't do it for Chaos Rising.
Yeah, so that was my next thing. So there's been this kind of talk around the Twitterverse and other places that SIRs and big hits got sniped off the factory line for Chaos Rising. Yeah. Just like, I don't know if you guys remember back in the day, Fusion Strike had a similar situation where some guy showed up to a card convention with just a table full of stacks on stacks on stacks of SIRs.
No, the alt arts, the Gengar.
Yeah, the Gengar, the Rainbows. I guess they were alt arts back then, not SIRs. Yeah. But somebody's out on the Twitterverse saying, same thing's happening with Chaos Rising because they're going to card shows and they're seeing Mega Greninja's SIR already showing up on the tables and stuff. So a couple things here. That Mega Greninja could have been mispackaged. We recently just talked about Gold Mega Zygarde showing up in prismatic booster bundles. The other side of this coin is that a lot of people were saying that the delayed Chaos Rising pre-order was because they were implementing the new early access system.
Yeah.
Well, they just dropped the Chaos Rising pre-order yesterday and there was no early access system.
Correct.
So now we don't really know why Chaos Rising was delayed. And for context, for you guys that don't know, typically a set's pre-orders go up on the Pokemon Center 2 months ahead of the release date.
Yeah.
And this one, we're like a month away.
Yeah. Pokebeach, once again, states it. It's like 74 days on average is when they do a pre-release, when they do the pre-orders for the ETBs. We're like 40-something.
Yeah.
Which is, once again, according to Pokebeach, which is fantastic and wonderful and usually accurate.
We love you, Pokebeach.
Yep. Yeah. So pre-orders for most sets open on Pokemon Center around 78 days before release, which is 11 weeks in a day. There are only 42 days until Chaos Rising release, meaning it now holds the record for the latest pre-order launch in recent memory. And this was last Friday, posted April 10th. So that's 4 days ago. Mm-hmm. So we hit 38 days. So we got 5 weeks and 3 days. It's 5 weeks from Friday, which is, at some point in a business, right, as you're running the business, try to separate yourself from Pokemon for a second. If you're trying to implement something new and you've delayed something, almost 4 weeks for it, at some point somebody's like, listen, no, revert, press the button, go, let's get it done, we'll get it launched on the next one.
Yeah.
Right? So
that makes sense.
Once again, I don't mean to beat this dead horse, but here's what release weekend looks like in Japan, right? Like, you can buy, they limit you on the amount of packs that you can buy at like electronics stores or like convenience stores early in the morning. Usually everything's sold out by the afternoon. For hot sets, Pokemon centers often require winning an online lottery just for the right to pre-order, and spots can sell out before the store opens, which means that people can win the right to the lottery and then sell the right for the lottery or go do it.
Yeah.
Hundreds of fans queue up at major retailers. There's strict purchase limits. A common strategy is to check convenience stores all over the place in the morning.
Once I saw they only limit to 1 pack per person.
Yep. And
at Japan.
Third-party resellers often sell boxes for 3x MSRP. And for popular releases, arriving 30 to 60 minutes or more before store opening is standard, with staff often issuing numbered tickets. So kind of similar outside of the lottery system. That hasn't been implemented here. There's no lottery system at Best Buy or GameStop. It's, you just queue in line. So they introduced this new system. We'll see how it works. We'll see how it goes. I'm sure people will complain. I'm sure people will pull out the it's unfair. Here's my purchase history with Pokemon Center. Yeah. I've spent $2,800 on 42 different orders, not just Pokemon, the trading card game. I bought plushies, I bought this, I bought that. And to be fair, like, if that's going to happen, I understand being frustrated. Like, I get it. I get it.
Do you think that this is going to increase the value of Pokemon Center ETBs because they're even more exclusive now?
Yeah,
even though they're technically not, because there's the same amount of ETBs. It's more exclusive to have a chance to get one.
So we've had this conversation in this environment before. Think about the 3-pack blisters or single-pack blisters from the EX era, right? Like a loose pack of Team Rocket's Return in really great condition is whatever, $1,500 or $2,000 or whatever. A sealed blister single pack is worth has sold. Worth is relative. Has sold on eBay for like $4,400 with the right pack art. A 2x difference between those products. The cards are almost the same, right? But there's there's this collector ability of having all of the products for this. If there is a not limited production, but there is a stranglehold on how many people can get a hold of a Pokemon Center ETB, I think it could impact the values and make them go higher. But just based on the third-party market, people were selling this new sets ETB Pokemon Center on eBay
before they even had it.
But while the queue was still up,
yeah.
before the queue had closed.
Before they even got one.
So that's a thing. There's a market there because some people have enough disposable income to be able to recognize that, $200 or $400 or $800 or whatever the dollar amount is worth them not worrying about whether they're going to miss it or not.
Yeah.
Right. And so the other piece is that these are usually just for the U.S., and there are European people that want to purchase Pokemon Center ETBs also that don't have access to it. And so, once again, we're back to the same problem that Pokemon's had for a really long time, which is the demand is much higher than the supply.
Yeah, it just doesn't really fix anything, does it? It
No.
just kind of keeps everything either stagnant or maybe worse.
No. One of the things in my head, we talked about this at one point a couple weeks ago, was if GameStop and Pokemon had this agreement, and all of a sudden every GameStop had the ability to sell Pokemon Center merch, and every GameStop got access to a Pokemon Center ETB. And I know a lot of people don't like GameStop, but just as an example, having a actual physical place have the stuff on top of pre-orders, I think you can normalize it a little bit. But
those lines would get a lot longer outside of
but if you had all of I think the main drive here is people reselling, or
But you got your hands on it to resell it.
That's what I'm saying.
If you made it exclusive to GameStop to be able to sell,
so we're in the middle of perfect order, right? Like that's the world we're in. This Friday will be 3 weeks post-release of Perfect Order. You can go anywhere and hear people mumble and complain about the set. We have a ton of the cards in stock because people pulled them and they don't want to keep them, right? So we have a lot of it. And still, at the big box store next to us, right, there is a line of 15 to 20 people waiting in line for the Excel Brands guy to come in and restock. And maybe they're hoping for not Perfect Order. Maybe they're hoping for Prismatic or Ascended or Black and White or whatever the case may be, which is fine. But still, it's like, even after having a set that by all estimations compared to Ascended Heroes is not performing as well from a value standpoint of the individual cards, people are still nuts. And now we've got this next set coming out that's got Greninja
and Dragalge,
right? Clefable.
Yeah. Floette, your boy Floette?
Floette.
AZ's
But
Floette.
nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody really cares. They care about the Greninja, that's it. You know,
Like,
I don't.
In hindsight, do you think that Greninja can carry a set as well as Charizard can? Because that's what we're going to have. We're going to have Phantasmal Flames carried by Charizard, and we're going to have this set carried by Greninja. And
Because you have another 1-to-1 set, and the hits are so minimal. That's what it is. It kills sets, dude. If there's not a mass like a Don Chow Charizard or a Mega Greninja, like
so we're saying it kills sets. Fine. There's still not enough out there.
Yeah,
right.
And that's the other thing. Yeah,
people are still. I think I saw on eBay, people selling these Pokemon Center ETBs for $500.
Yeah.
It's what, right? Like what in the world? Right.
To be fair, it's a really clean looking ETB.
Stop.
It's one of the cleanest.
Yeah,
Pokemon
you're just
Center
gonna rip
ETBs.
it and have the.
I am gonna rip it. You're right, but I'm just saying.
Are you the guy that's gonna buy the box and the dice and the damage?
Don't tell me what not to do. Right? I can do
for
whatever.
$25 on eBay. It's interesting. I anticipated, if we could go back 6 months and say, Krause, where do you think the Pokemon market's going? 6 months ago, guys, we were in the middle of October, and it felt like Pokemon was coming down. Now, I think a majority of that is the number one platform for selling cards, and most sealed product is TCG Player. And on Black Friday, they offer a 10% off. Or additional rewards if you buy stuff, which naturally drops the value of things because so many people go and buy. And I thought that I saw the trend of things coming down in price as a function of that. But then in January, things started taking off again. And then Ascended Heroes hits. And speaking of Ascended Heroes, I know that this probably isn't something that was on the topic, but the old Forest Pikachu has a chance of taking over the Gengar.
Bro, it's up to 900 now. I don't understand the appeal. Like, I get it, it's a Pikachu, and I get it, it's the one from the starter deck 100 that's crazy hard to pull in Japan. But to make it $1,000, what am I missing? Is there something about that makes it?
I don't know.
That's special.
Once again, it's the same conversation.
This card was a $500 card 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's increased $400 in the span of a week and a half.
Yeah.
Help me understand, Krause.
Yeah, it's really hard to understand because you have things like what happened with 151 like 8 weeks ago, right? Yeah. Which is all of a sudden overnight, within the span of like 4 days, the Charizard doubled in price from like 225, 250 to.
That's fair. It's hard to understand anything in this space.
Yeah.
These days,
there's some people that walk into the store pretty often and they enjoy looking around at our singles. And one guy, as a speculator, grabbed a couple cards that he thought were going to increase in value over the summer. And it was interesting to engage in conversation about why he thought that or why he didn't, right? One of the cards that hasn't increased was the Zygarde EX, right? The full art. He was grabbing the promo Greninja from the Shrouded Fable because he thought once the new Greninja came out that would
that was popping off
some corollary. And it's like, yeah, will it pop off $20? Will it pop off $300? Will it pop off $80? Right? I think the card's like an $80-ish value now, or $75 or whatever. And it's just like, who knows?
I don't know. We could go on about this for a long time, but we got to move on. All right. Next thing on the docket. So, good transition here, kind of. We almost made it a smooth transition.
Almost.
We kind of went down a rabbit hole. Yeah. But Chaos Rising pre-orders just dropped yesterday on the Pokemon Center. So let's talk pre-release promos.
Yeah. Okay.
We got revealed the pre-release promos. Make sure you guys keep an eye out on Minty Gem socials if you are local for registration for Chaos Rising pre-release. We are limited to 20 spots.
20 spots, yeah. And I'll have it scheduled, and we'll probably communicate via the newsletter on Monday.
Yes.
So I'd anticipate on Monday that going live with the date for it. Okay, so we've got Delphox, Ampharos, Crobat, and Goodra.
Okay, off rip. What's your favorite of these four art-wise? Art-wise, not playability.
I think the Ampharos is pretty cool with his tail lighting up.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
I mean, Delphox shooting fire out. Those two don't suck. The other two is
You don't like the Crobat?
Yeah.
The Crobat looks pretty sick at night with the... This got major Team Rocket vibes. Come on.
Yeah, but it's not a Team Rocket's Crobat.
It's not, but it does have it.
Okay, let's talk about abilities, right?
Yep.
The Delphox, once during your turn, you may discard a basic energy from your hand in order to use this ability. Draw cards until you have 7 cards in your hand. It's a great ability, but on a stage 2 with a attack that's 2 fire, does 30 damage for each energy attached to all Pokemon. Maybe there's a spot, but...
so I've seen in Japan, people are running this with Imbor from White Flare, I believe, with the ability where you throw as much energy in play as you want. So you've got single price deck that swings for 30 energy for every fire energy attached to all Pokemon.
So you got to have 10 energy out to knock out a Mega. Meanwhile, you're just getting bodied by Starmie.
Yeah, weakness to Starmie too. Yeah, that's fair.
Rough, right? But still, it's not only is it a good attack, and you've got the right support for it, because you got Fire Breather, you got all sorts of stuff, right? Like,
would you rather run this in your fire deck as a stage 2 support Pokemon, or a Vivillon that lets you judge every turn as a stage 2 support Pokemon?
Not Vivillon.
Vivillon.
Yeah, not neither.
Dragalge.
Neither. I wouldn't run.
No,
either.
I'm just asking if you had to choose, and you.
If I was running fire.
What's a better ability? The judge every turn, or the draw up to 7 every turn?
Draw up to 7. Yeah. You want to see your deck more.
Consistency.
Because the Vivillon doesn't do anything to your hand. It just hurts your opponent. The Ampharos is great. You know, if you have, speaking to Judge, if you have the same number of cards in your hand as your opponent attacks by this Pokemon do 80 more damage to your opponent's active. And it's got 140. What's missing here is that the Flaffy has a item lock for I think 20, which means that you could do a Judge and Relicanth out and put out your Relicanth and do an item lock for 100 damage. The difficulty is there's not just, there's some good support with Canary. You've got the Iono's line of,
Iono?
Yeah. Belly
he
Bolt.
doesn't even want to address it.
Belly Bolt and all the other Voltorbs and all the other stuff that trainer has to be able to have something here. We'll see if this was the piece missing from making, Electric an actual deck. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like this is the killer thing. But
it's just too much. It's too much work.
I get it, but you're not too far away. You got a lot of the right puzzle pieces for a good Lightning deck. Now, Miraidon just did rotate out, but you're close to being able to have some of these things that are helpful inside of a deck. Then you've got Crobat, which is like Temu Pidgeot, right? Like if you're in the active.
Crobat low-key is broken, bro.
If you're in the active,
I don't care what you say.
You can use this ability, search your deck for a card, shuffle your deck, then put that card on top. So it's a Temu Pidgeot, but it's also a Temu Cypher Maniacs, which I get it, especially if you go, I don't know, in a dark deck, you have this, and then you use Pecharunt EX to put it up.
Air Balloon. Plenty of ways to move that guy around.
Yeah, I get it. It's a stage 2 answer to like Kangaskhan or whatever, just being able to see your deck. But once again, it's stage 2, so...
See, I disagree with all the stage 2 hate, man. People used to run Baxcalibur and Chim Pao as a stage 2, and it wasn't that big a deal. I feel like if you want like a 2-2 line of a stage 2 rare candy, I don't think it's that hard to pull off.
And pause, I was about to completely decimate your Baxcalibur thing, but then I actually put the thoughts together and then realized... Charizard Pidgeot's 2 stage 2. And that's a very competitive deck.
It's not that far off.
But the Charizard ability was broken because you didn't have to worry about energy attachment, and you could rare candy and immediately swing. Pidgeot was just completely broken. I didn't need to be in the active.
But there were other like big basic decks that ran like a one-up Pidgeot. Like
sure,
you could run control deck with this Crobat if you.
Of course, yeah. Depending on what you're trying to do, it's a good ability. In my opinion, it's not the best of the 4.
You're right. It's slimy sliding.
Yeah. So what this does is when your opponent's active Pokemon retreats, your opponent flips a coin. If Tails' energy for its retreat cost is not discarded and they don't switch Pokemon, the effect of slimy sliding doesn't stack. So you have to hit anytime you want to retreat, which is mobility is really important. Now, once again, that doesn't involve a switch. That doesn't involve, evolving the current Pokemon that may have retreat lock on it or whatever. If they try to retreat, then all of a sudden this would kick in. Whereas if you were just retreat locking, like, once again, Latias is not going to allow you just to have free retreat. You have to flip a coin, which, once again, is more annoying than anything else. But when it hits or when it sticks, the challenge is, once again, we're in a stage 2 Pokemon. right? Which I have to be consistent. All these stage 2 Pokemon,
Yeah.
I've said the same thing about them all, so I'll say that there. It doesn't mean it's a killer. It just means, hey, it's stage 2. It can't run right out the gate, which for a lot of decks, you need mobility at the beginning. For some specific decks, you're using mobility in the middle of the game. So
this is definitely paired with the Dragalge that we're getting in this set. That's what this is built for. It just screams it to me.
Yeah.
For you guys who don't know, the Dragalge poisons, and if
16 damage
16
counters in
damage counters,
checkup.
but they are still in the active the next turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think slimy sliding is going to make much of an impact with all the switches and surfers. People will just throw in their decks to
Now
counter
that being
meta,
said,
but-
looking at the 4 abilities, which one do you hope you get in the pre-release?
So that was my next question.
Yeah.
I want the Crobat.
Yeah.
But for pre-release, I want the Crobat to have the stamped Crobat. But for pre-release, I kind of think the Delphox is busted.
Yeah, I was just gonna say,
Like-
I think from a power level, like in the last one, the Doublade was the one that was, or Doublade, however you want to say it, I think had the most power from a pre-release deck. This one seems to be that it'll be fire, is what it seems like.
Yeah, I think the Delphox is the way to go.
Yeah.
Ampharos will probably be pretty good in pre-release. If you can, they better give you like Ultra Balls or something to thin your hand down. Otherwise, you're not gonna be able to pair it. Or judges, or I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Not many times you get like a judge in pre-release. Judges and bosses are pretty rare in pre-release formats.
Yeah, it depends on how they build the pre-con. The last 4 that they did wasn't bad.
It was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. They did a really good job. They didn't do worthless things like they have done.
Last pre-release for Perfect Order was the first pre-release in a very long time where I felt like it was very balanced. I didn't go into every match thinking I was going to get destroyed or I was going to destroy somebody else, and that my deck was broken.
Yeah.
It felt like, because I played against Mega Zygarde in the pre-release, ended up winning even though I didn't have an EX. I played against a Tyrantrum Mirror that was down to the wire very end, and then I lost to a Doublade deck, and it was very even split 1-1. Almost tie, basically. But it felt very balanced. I think they've done a great job. Also, something else I kind of want to talk about, these new draft kits that we got that are really cool.
Yeah, so being a Play Store, we got sent this beta thing. It's a 2-person draft and 80 cards. And the way the draft works is you randomize up the 80 cards. Somebody goes first. That person draws 5 cards. They take 1. The next, they hand the cards to the other person. That person takes 2. You hand the cards back. That person takes 2. Now the other guy goes first. Other person goes first, draws 5 cards, takes 1. And you do that until all the cards are done. And then it's just like pre-release in the sense that you use a 40-card deck, right? You have to grab energies. So energies aren't a part of the kit, but you need energies to be able to use. And you try to build your deck out. And part of it is interesting in the draft because if you know, because if you can handle it, you know what you've given your opponent.
Yeah.
And if you know you've given them a basic and a stage 1 or a basic and a stage 2, you can snipe the stage 1 and you don't have to use it in your deck because there's enough cards left over.
Yeah.
So you can put yourself in a position to do okay.
But it also, it's pretty balanced in the standpoint that there's a one of every Pokemon in the draft.
There's lots.
So,
it's not like you're just running a fire deck or a grass deck.
Yeah.
Like I think when we played, I think I had 3 different energy types. And I also had colorless Pokemon in there also to use, or Pokemon with colorless attacks. And so it was interesting. It was fun. They have rules in there for how to take 2 of those sets and put them together so you can have a 4-player draft, which is also sounds like fun.
Oh, that's cool. We got to do that.
And it was cool. It was just very basic Pokemon. It wasn't, once again, I said this before about pre-releases, it's not an environment where you come in and you're just so good at your deck and you know everything about your deck and your list and how to play it against this, and this. This randomization of what your deck looks like, then it just becomes, how do I take advantage of the randomness that occurs and how do I draw into my deck, right? And then on top of that, how did I put my deck together? Because you have leftovers. So did I choose the right supporters? Did I choose the right theme? And then can I go execute, right? Like it low stakes makes it pretty fun.
I love it, man.
I
Love
really
the
wish they
variety.
would do something like that for pre-release or something. I don't know how they're going to like spread this idea out or make it go mainstream, but I think it would be fun if they could pull it off.
I think it'd be cool to make a larger, more standard draft cube that you can either purchase or have it stores
pre-release.
to play.
Yeah.
Where it's not 40 but a 60 card deck, and you can actually draft like a full size deck and see how well you do based on your draft. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Right? Or make it do something like, hey, well, this is like last year's rotation. here for reminiscence.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
No high rarity stuff. Do what they do with the Japanese starter decks. Make them like non-hollow or not desirable cards, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to have EXs that people like a Fez or whatever, just figure out how to not have the $10 or $15 EXs and just have, like, for goodness sakes, like, build a deck around Toxtricity EX or...
I mean, you could just take the League Battle decks.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And just, here's League Battle decks from 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And just have an event.
Let's go.
See who wins. Just,
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
All right, let's do...
Are we doing it? What are we doing?
He thinks he's got to get his horn.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
Ticker time! Let's go! Finger guns, lasers, we'll do. All right.
I love ticker time.
This is a very straightforward, very easy Tinker Time this week for me.
Okay.
A very difficult one for you.
Oh.
So this week I
How dare
found
you.
the hardest Pokemon trivia quiz.
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah,
I
I'm
could
toast.
find.
Especially if it's from like Gen 1 through
Okay, so
9. Kidding.
it may be. So this has questions varying from the games, trading cards, anime.
Bro, why you got to expose me?
Listen.
All right, let's go. Let's just jump into it.
So here's the deal. This quiz does not give the answers right away.
Okay.
So we're gonna answer all the questions and we'll find out how we did at the end. And you know what, buddy? You're not gonna go on this journey alone. I'm gonna answer these with you, okay? So we're both gonna chime in and see if we can tag team this and knock it out. Okay, so question 1. Which Pokemon has the highest base stat total of any non-legendary, non-mythical Pokemon? Now, it is multiple choice, so you get to choose from one of these. So, highest base stat total of any non-legendary, non-mythical Pokemon.
Yeah,
Slacking,
this is VGC stuff.
Baxcalibur, Hydreigon, or Dragapult. They're all pseudos. Slacking, Baxcalibur, Hydreigon, Dragapult.
See.
All right, we're going Hydreigon?
Mm-hmm.
You sure? I think it's Slacking. Oh, it did tell me right away.
It was slacking?
It was Slacking. Answer A is correct. Slacking has a whopping base stat total of 670, the same as some legendaries.
Wow. Okay.
All right, question 2. What is the only Pokemon that evolves by losing a type upon evolution? Shedinja, Gloom, Scizor, or Eevee to Flareon?
Well, Eevee's colorless.
I think Scizor still keeps its bug type when it goes
I was
steel,
going
right?
to say, I think so.
I think it's Eevee to Flareon.
Gloom is what? Poison and
And grass.
I think it goes from grass to poison and grass or whatever, right? I don't think it loses. It doesn't lose grass.
I don't think so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
When we go Eevee to Flareon?
Yeah,
I'm with you on this.
It doesn't lose. I mean, it loses colorless.
It loses colorless and goes to fire.
Yeah.
Okay, we're wrong. I guess it's Scyther.
Dang.
It drops flying type and gains steel, becoming a pure bug steel type. But it keeps bug.
Oh, but it lost flying. Okay.
That's dumb. All right, which move has the highest base power in the entire Pokemon series, excluding Z moves and max moves? Explosion, Last Respects, V-Create, or Hyper Beam? Highest base power. Explosion, right?
It's either that or Hyper Beam. This Hyper Beam has a 1-turn cooldown. Explosion kills you. So Explosion seems to be like that would be the right answer.
I'm going Explosion. I think Explosion.
Yeah.
It's Last Respects. Last Respects starts at 50 base power, but increases by 50 for each fainted party member, capping at 300 base power if 5 have fainted. These are like trick questions, bro.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
This is like how well do you know the VGC?
In the original Pokemon Red Blue,
Yeah.
which Pokemon's Pokedex entry incorrectly describes it as evolving from a non-existent Pokemon called Maniac? Kangaskhan, Clefairy, Marowak, or Slowbro?
Marowak. Maniac. What do you think?
We'll go Marowak. That was right.
Nailed it. First try.
A Pokedex entry mistakenly implies Cubone evolves from a Pokemon named Maniac, like a translation or placeholder error in early versions.
Okay.
Which Pokemon cannot be obtained without trading or events in any of the mainline games it appears in? Electivire, Aromatisse, Spiritomb, or Nincada?
Aromatisse, you have to trade with a
See, you know some of this stuff.
puff. It's a
So it's Aromatisse?
Slurpuff has to have something. You have to trade it. And when it trades, it evolves. Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah.
Evolve some Spritzy
Two
only
in a
when
row.
traded while holding a sachet.
Sachet, yeah, smell or something. Yeah.
What is the only Pokemon to have different base stats depending on the language of the game in Generation 2? Unknown, Kadabra, Farfetch'd, or Jinxed? I think Kadabra.
No clue.
I remember Kadabra being broken in Soul Silver. Well, remember I talked to you about this. when we
Yeah,
were-
yeah.
I was running around with Kadabra just murdering people.
Hit it.
That's
No.
wrong.
What was it?
In the Japanese version of Pokemon Crystal, Farfetch'd has 10 higher attack and speed than in the international versions.
Newsflash, nobody cares.
Which is the only Pokemon that changes its base form typing mid-generation without evolving or regional forms. The only Pokemon
Which
that
is the
changes its
only Pokemon that
base
changes its base form typing mid-generation.
mid-generation. Rotom, Dynamo, Giratina, Charizard. Mid-generation.
Like without evolving.
Without evolving.
Because it can do
Yeah.
heat and fan.
Yeah, I
and-
think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Nope.
Gen 1 Charizard was fire flying, but its typing remained unchanged. However, in Gen 6, Mega Charizard X changed it to Fire Dragon.
Oh,
They're throwing megas in there.
come
Dude, this is
on.
BS. What was the first Pokemon designed according to Ken Sugimori?
Isn't it right on?
Bulbasaur, Clefairy, Rhydon, or Pikachu? That's
Yeah, it's
right.
right on. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
First try.
Which of these Pokemon is in the unique egg group shared with no other Pokemon? Ditto, Turtonator, Manaphy, or Unknown? No.
Manaphy feels like
Manaphy
it
is
doesn't
mythicals.
exist.
Is it Unknown?
It might be Ditto, because, no, Ditto shares it with everybody, right? Isn't that how that works?
I think
That's
so.
how you breed with Ditto. So what are the other three options?
Turtonator, Manaphy, or Unknown? I feel like it's Unknown, right?
All right. I didn't mess with any of this stuff.
All right. It's wrong. It was Ditto.
It was Ditto. Nice.
All right, what's the only Pokemon that has two different signature abilities across separate forms? This is the last question. Only Pokemon that has two different signature abilities across separate forms.
Okay.
Aegislash, Calyrex, Zygarde, or Mimikyu? Zygarde, right? He has separate forms. Or does Calyrex have separate forms too, though, right?
No.
Shadow
Shadow
Rider
Rider is not Calyrex. Shadow Rider is a different Pokemon than Calyrex.
But you have Shadow Rider, Calyrex.
And Ice Rider
Ice
Calyrex.
Rider, Calyrex.
But I feel pretty confident that's three different Pokemon entries. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I'd be with you on that. I think Zygarde would be the answer to that.
Mimikyu has two forms, broken form and
I didn't know Mimikyu had two forms.
yeah, it's got like the normal one, and then when it gets hit, it like breaks the top of its head. Dude, just do Mimikyu. It's a trick question.
Was freaking Calyrex.
Yeah, we're right.
All right.
I mean,
So,
what did we get? 3 right?
yeah, so this is,
Yeah.
we went 3 for 10.
Yeah, nice.
We're very unattached from VGC.
Yeah, I don't know much about the video game, especially the early
I
stuff.
thought you might know more because you played some of the recent stuff.
I have. Well, that's how I nailed the freaking Aromatisse, right?
Yeah, that's true. You did know some of it.
But
I'm
but yeah.
curious. I want to get one TCG question in here.
Love
Okay,
it.
okay, here we go.
Okay.
These are not multiple choice, so you just have to know the answer. Can you name the floral Pokemon with this flavor text? This Pokemon picks flowers with its vine and decorates itself with them. For some reason, flowers won't wither once they're attached to this Pokemon.
Comfey.
Yeah, all right. You got that one. How much damage does Mega Sceptile's attack do? You're not going to know that.
220.
100. All right, last one. The supporter card, Professor Juniper, does what?
Hey, it's Professor's research.
It
Just
sure
crack your
is.
hand and draw 7.
It sure is.
Hey, 2 out of 3. We take
yeah.
it. Hey.
Hell yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Looking forward to next week.
We will catch you soon.
All right. Peace
Have a
out.
good